Hey, Josh.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. How are you feeling these days?
No ailments to speak of this week, so we're good.
Clean living. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Carmen, it looks like you're in your car again.
Hi. Nope. I'm at home.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
No, I'm just teasing. I saw the artwork behind you.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'm just queuing up talk here. Plus, we need everyone else to get here. Rasha, how are you tonight? Paige, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
So super, thanks. Okay, hey Alex. Okay. Okay, well, we'll need to get started because we have a lot to cover. Maybe, I'm not sure. So I see Andrew. Gosh, I know he's here. Wu is here. I'll send invites again.
Mark, I just got a call from Lynn and Michael, so I think they're trying to connect. If you
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just sent them again. Okay, so I have two packages to share with you tonight. And I want to get through them quickly. The first one is kind of a build on from what Ash has shown. It's a talk on metal panels. Not many of you are maybe looking at metal panels as a material explicitly. And I'm not sure why that is, but I want to bring that back to your foreground for tonight as you embark on refining your wall sections and exterior elevations. And then I want to talk a little bit, and this presentation, not unlike not unlike all of the presentations Ash has given, have been kind of proprietary. You know, we have lunch and learns at offices, and many of the presentations I think have come from the vendors who come in and share their slide decks with Ash, maybe even at the college. And so this is a slide deck from Dry Design, which is a local metal panel company. They're, I think, in the Kalamazoo or Grand Rapids area, probably Grand Rapids. Anyways, Dry Design does a number of metal panel products. And I want to show them to you, not to talk about metal panel as a technical thing, because I'm not qualified to, but to show you metal panel as a skin that has sort of terrific, flexible aesthetic potential. And so this is meant to prompt that discussion. Also, a second talk tonight will be really on some of the work that I've done in my last 20 years, including some work that's fairly recent that talks about the discipline of masonry, which of course includes stucco, cast stone, or limestone veneer, as well as brick veneer. So I want to get into that right away because we have a lot to cover, and I did because this will be our last talk for the year, and I want to talk about our calendar as we move into really the final month, right? The last push. So Dry Design is, again, a local company. This is a material from a recent Lunch and Learn that Mr. Laufer gave me, and I'm happy to show it to you. Obviously, this is talking about a specific version of their material or their product line. Painted aluminum has to do with the finish of the metal panel that this product line is able to get. But I want to sort of alert you to a couple of things. One is that each of the rectangles that you see in the metal panel that you see here are individual metal panel pans, and they're all hung, gravity hung. So they're nailed at the top, and then they're interlocked below. This is a rain screen system. This particular example shows the joint variations that you can achieve with metal panel and the color variations. Also notice that the window patterns align with at least in this case, the horizontal joint patterns of the metal panel. Notice how, because of the finish, right, you can achieve a wide range of color, but notice how the whole building, right, isn't colored, but really maybe this end wall of a stairway might be colored. Or several floors, but maybe not necessarily all floors in a building. So Andrew has a facade that reminds me of this. This also reminds me of Halloween candy, but in any event, I think this is kind of an interesting and somewhat whimsical, right, example of the palette of colors. But the same discipline of jointing, the same discipline of variety is operating in this example. So all of these have been kind of horizontal, right? So here's an example of horizontal, but organized in a more vertical sort of grain, again, to achieve a different aesthetic effect. Alluvium is a different kind of to distinguish itself from their other product lines, not just in color, but also in texture. I don't know that I'm going to be able to have you regard that or see that, but basically these are all the same texture and maybe 2 or 3 different colors to achieve this clay Shilden rain screen style metal panel. And here, just because of lighting, you can see that these are all the same panels, but they just have different effects because of the way they're lit. And then this plate talks a little bit about the texture. So if you're interested in promoting more of a textural facade in terms of the inherent surface, like the way that concrete block or brick veneer has texture. You can get that texture in metal panel. Some people are maybe a little reluctant or hesitant to use metal panel because it's cold or hard or too smooth. Well, metal panel can come in a variety of ways. Again, the joints and the sizes of the metal panel can also be organized strategically to work with, again, not only the windows, but to create a different kind of scalar effect in the architecture. Right? Metal panel can also be used for horizontal surfaces like curving road, the soffit from the field color, as you can see. Metal panel can also act as a fascia and as the end cap, as you can see here and here, for a much larger, more transparent building. Metal panel can also evoke the patterns and colors of glazing. So you can have a normal gray field color, but then you can introduce maybe on a facade that's like a stair tower facade that maybe doesn't have a lot of windows. You can introduce a turquoise or a blue or a teal color the way that this architect has to create more sense of transparency. This is their copper anodized product. So this is a product that moves from browns and taupes to dark browns and patinated, right, patinaed copper that's like 40 years out that has that turquoise sort of sensibility to it. This is also that copper. Here it's used in a running bond pattern to give it kind of a masonry effect. And each of these metal panels are the same color, but because of the way they come off, because of the way they're processed and rolled, or the way they come off the rolls, they have a uniqueness about them, which is very pleasing. It can work for low rise, and as you can see on the right, it can work for high rise buildings. More metal panel combined with brick and stone on the far left, right? And maybe cast stone on the far right. This copper-esque metal panel organized again in vertical with maybe a few colored selections or specifications to give the facade a little bit. The Dry Design Company also has a zinc product that has, I think, a very, very sophisticated look to it. You can look at other companies like Rhine Zinc, which are the real McCoy, but this zinc is, I think, a product worth looking at. These are all examples of zinc in terms of their color palette. In this case, it's the dark gray one. And you can see it operating in this example here, and this example here, and this example here. And then this palette of like alternative materials. Not sure exactly what each of these are. I wasn't paying complete attention in the Lunch and Learn. Usually it's a time that I can catch up on my emails. But in any event, let's just take in the variation of jointing, luster, patterning, and surface texture in these examples. Obviously, an interior application. I love the potential for the metal panel not just to be a taut skin, but to possibly be something that is textural in a real and substantial way. These are not the traditional 1 1/8 inch thick metal panels that you saw up to now. These have 3 inches and 3.5 inch depths. And this is obviously varied with more shallow depth metal panels to create, the word is bas relief, to create a low relief textural facade. So on a large, maybe unadorned, unfenestrated facade, a boring facade, perhaps, in your own work, this is an opportunity to introduce something that's more interesting than not. And so you can do it in a whimsical random pattern like this. You can do it in a more vertical and ribbed and repetitious pattern like this. You can do it with horizontal stripings that are indented like this, so that they line up with other horizontal datums within the sort of system, ordering system of your building. You can create a somewhat random mosaic of patterns by just sprinkling a variety of higher relief panels within a field of flatter panels. And notice how in the middle, they introduce a completely different color and metal panel type to maybe break the facade into smaller, more vertical components. So texture, striping, color, all working together to create this sort of dramatic horizontal landscape of architecture. Here is an airport, you know, long corridors, long runways of people moving through spaces, not really noticing where they're going because they're in a yank to get from one place to the next. So here's kind of an Aztec pattern that's a repeating condition along this sort of clerestory wall that actually weaves some of the mechanical ductwork into the jointing. I think it's a very sophisticated yet simple approach. This is somewhat classicizing in the way that the terracotta color, the cinnamon metal panels create kind of a rusticated masonry effect. And it's more classicizing than that by weaving some sort of continuous interlacing cornice detail at the top of this curving wall. So this is an interesting effect as well. You know, this is something that's really, really quite stunning and beautiful and maddening to think about how you'd actually detail this, but by simply rotating and flipping and flopping profiled metal panels that have a shallow face on one sort of edge and a more proud face or dimension on the opposite edge, you can create kind of a mottled and completely textural facade that looks like it might be, you know, moving in the wind. Imagine a bunch of like Christmas ornaments hanging in a reticulated grid, if you could even accomplish that, and all moving in the wind or moving under the air conditioner in your own home. So this facade, even though it's static, has the potential to create the effect of movement and dynamism. You know, I didn't edit this slide deck, so obviously this is talking a little bit about the potential for the metal panel in a soffit condition to have variations of edges as well, so that you get kind of a landscape, a horizontal landscape, but in the ceiling. And the same thing here, the Christmas ornament idea again, or cards hanging in the air, all pinned like on a clothesline, or clothes hanging on a clothesline. I don't know if anybody washes their clothes anymore, much less dries them on a clothesline, but maybe your grandmother did that. So this is that effect, right? This is that effect where these things are hanging along the clothesline, but moving under their own volition, all one independent of the other. And again, creating a more abstracted, but certainly composed pattern of patterns, right? So I love the sort of aesthetic potential for big buildings to be broken into smaller components, where large surfaces can be broken into more highly textural components. And that's what I'm trying to promote in this discussion tonight. This is where two horizontals meet one another in a very low height, horizontally oriented metal panel, but it's also showing that one panel can actually have a dart or a fold in it and create a multiple shadow condition within one panel. And so that's kind of the effect that you can achieve either in a horizontal a wonderful opportunity as well Many of you have been talking about this. So this is using perforated metal panels in a grid with a consistent field color, but then with accent colors of teal and light blue and light green, where the skin actually covers a complete inset balcony, like you see right here and right here. And so this is kind of a wonderful example of, the variations of what that skin can do for you, of what those perforations look like up close and personal, what they look like from, say, the inside. If you're contemplating using a perforated metal panel over a fenestration condition, this is maybe the effect that you want to consider. Where the metal panels can actually become a branding opportunity, and certainly be maybe a mechanical louver opportunity for you. So for all of you all that are considering, for instance, magic packs, love that you're thinking about that. Love that you're integrating them into your floor plan. But ladies and gentlemen, the magic pack actually needs to breathe, right? And so it's going to require a fresh air grill intake and an exhaust outtake, or an exhaust filter or a louver. So you need to include, if you have magic packs, you need to include intake and exhaust louvers on your facade. They don't have to be the ones that Magic Pack gives you. So this is a design opportunity. So I want you to think about that. Soffits on the inside, perforated imaging, right? So you can actually give them a CAD file or a Revit file of like artwork or a company logo or a scene, Washington crossing the Delaware, for example, and they can create it. And they create it by this kind of sort of make lab digital fabrication approach to profiling the metal in such a way, or drilling and coring the metal in such a way that you can achieve the sort of visual effect that they promise in this image or this image. And they can be backlit, so like interior or exterior conditions, that perforated metal panel can be backlit to color code the building in a very dramatic way, or both, right? Artwork, perforated metal, with illumination behind it. Stair towers. When I look at this is a really contemporary example of something, for instance, that Jean Nouvel did in Paris 25, 35 years ago with the Arab Institute, and so this stair tower is really beautiful because of that sort of lineage. But and not just stair towers, right? But stair towers and maybe mechanical screens at uncomfortable places, like right in front of the building when everyone's entering, but maybe that lobby needs air conditioning units on the roof of this emergency room entrance. And so the perforated metal panel is an opportunity to sort of do that. And here's what maybe that looks like from the inside. Again, the mottled or mosaic of pushes and pulls in the metal panel, as you see here, with a pattern perforated within it, and seeing what that looks like up close and personal. So, ladies and gentlemen, right, for those of you who are contemplating, right, the one option of the enlarged facade drawing, this is kind of the level of detail that I want you to be capturing in your work. So when we talk about what options you're doing, and if you're one of those that are thinking of that, this is where I want you to be going with your illustrations. More examples. More examples. Parking deck, right? Here's a big parking deck that, these are nasty ass buildings. They're like armpits, right? Everybody hates armpits, right? Even on TV, even today, you never see people touching armpits. There's an ad today where some dude's touching his armpit and he gets scolded by this sexy voice on the television. You just don't touch armpits. But everybody has armpits. Every city has parking decks. So architects are having to deal with these armpits of buildings. And one of the ways that they're doing that is making lemonade out of these lemons, right? So here's an example of a big ass parking deck linked to a retail mall, and changing the sort of physicality of that parking deck, I think, in a very dramatic way. Here's a shot right from the inside of that parking deck to give you, with this 6-foot ladder right in the middle of the scene, giving you a sense of, right, how big those perfs need to be to command the attention of the shopper on the other side of the street, or to get the shopper's attention as they're driving by this. And what those perforations are actually detailed like on the outside. So here's a mock-up where you can see that the perforations are actually folded open, sort of like when you only partially open a can of pork and beans, and you open that lid just partially. That's how they've achieved that sort of visual effect here and here. More metal panel on the flanks of this contemporary, probably university building. You can actually see through both of these metal panels, which I think is very interesting. This is obviously like a one-story retail shopping center, and these are notoriously stingy in their budgets. So the architects created a much taller physical presence with these retail stores by extending vertically the parapet, so that it was an opportunity to give it more presence and physicality and dimension, and to give the surface that gives it that height an opportunity for signage, and to give that surface something a little bit more interesting than, say, drive it, right, or brick. And so they use the perforated and the printed patterns for the gateway to the wild, and then they use this vertical stacked masonry type pattern to conceal perhaps some of the rooftop rooftop unit. Here's a picture of water on a rain on a pond, and then here's a a parking deck, and that same image, right, that you just saw is what the dry design tried to achieve, right, with this parking deck of metal wrapped in metal panel. And here's what that pond in the rainstorm side. Pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed with it. Another example of artwork of individuals. So this is a figurative artwork, right? So this is meant to look like people that we might know from history or from our community. And then it's stylized with these slashes of dropouts, if you will, to give it dynamism and scale, and to give some patterning to geometry. So it's weaving figural with representational elements, and then giving some graphic splashes to break up the long mass in such a way that it was maybe a little bit more pleasing. All done with metal panel, all done within the sort of purview of finishes, paint, perforations, and product type for, again, a parking deck. Backlit, perforated, obviously, on a building that maybe is clunky in size and scale, like, an athletic facility. This is one way of making it more palatable, or something that maybe wants to commemorate those that served. We just celebrated, of course, Veterans Day, so this is a very timely example. Embossed, again, low relief, bas relief. So here's kind of a dimple pattern or pimple pattern, not only for interior but exterior applications. These almost look like flooring tiles or stair treads. So this is a textural example. If you live in Oakland County, or if you ever drive through it, there's a brand new building for the Audi dealership. They've been rebranded. All of their stores look like this. If you walk up to the one in Birmingham that Bob Ziegelman was the architect for, who I just saw the other day. This is what that metal panel looks like. And here's a sort of a larger example of the Audi dealership's new appearance. And another close-up of that. And then won't name the Atlanta beverage company whose color is part of its brand because I'm not supposed to tell you who it is, but you know, you can actually allow the perforations to be part of the brand. And that's all I got for you. I'll just sort of show you more examples of how the metal panel has been approached with these sort of case studies. Clemson high rises. You saw this one earlier. You saw this one earlier. Same building, and this goes on and on and on. But I don't want to wait for these things to generate. This is actually one of our buildings. This is the zinc one. That's interesting. This is interesting. Vertical on the end cap, and then horizontal and vertical in the middle. So this is another opportunity for you as your buildings turn the corner and face alleys or maybe the residential neighborhood. If you prioritize and rank your facades, if you intend to do that, this is one way of doing that in your work. And then that example, and up close and personal. This is kind of like corduroy, right? You know, I love texture, so and especially like in clothing. So this curtain wall of metal panel has a very highly textured sort of aspect to it. This is what it looks like up close. You can even see that condition emerging in the profile here if you look carefully. So it actually appears almost as if it's a standing seam. More examples of that same product migrating its way into the interior. You saw an example of this a moment ago. A big-ass airport building, perhaps. Okay, well, there's just a few more images. This is interesting. If you look carefully, the joints that are horizontal in this facade change as you make your way down. You know, if you remember like the Palazzo Rimini or any of Alberti's work or of the bank buildings, right? The Palazzo in Florence, there was a strategy, a classical strategy of like thick, almost cyclopean masonry at the ground floor, and then the horizontal joints diminished in height and coursing as you made your way up. So the smallest coursings occurred at the very top floors of those, like the Palazzo Rucellai and whatnot. And that was meant to sort of signify that the base of the building was resistant to attack. It was meant to indicate gravity. It was meant to indicate solidity and strength. So it's a tradition, right, of adjusting the coursing in such a way to signify a design intent. And it goes all the way back to the early Renaissance. And here is an example of metal panel inverting that strategy by changing the coursing from top to bottom. So I think that's kind of an interesting approach, adding richness to the surface by just changing the interval of the horizontal. It's a pretty interesting building. Here's that airport again. And so that's it. So I want to show you that stuff to get you kind of maybe more warm to the idea of approaching what you're doing in such a way that you're maybe a little bit more free and liberated. And the last set of images I want to show you are some of my own work at the two firms that I've been with over the last 25 years, and talk about the sort of conditions of restraint that I try to apply to my own attitudes about architecture in terms of material variety and selection, the color palette and the material palette, and maybe the discipline of, combining both aspects of verticality and horizontality in the work. So this happens to be the office of Soroki Architecture. This was a reskin of an existing building. So this was a 3-story building that was a green and glass curtain wall. Pardon me for a second. So it looked like the Lever House in New York City by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill from 1949. So we peeled that skin off and we selected an amber colored brick with cast stone and metal panel, 3 materials plus traditional operable Marvin brand windows, right? Double hung windows. So the cast stone was used as a base condition, again, like the palazzi in the Renaissance. And so you see that on the left slide here. It includes large format stone, 18-inch by 24-inch, with a water table, which was a half-round bullnose. And then everything above the first retail floor was that amber-colored brick. And then at the very top of each column pier, each structural pier, there was a stone cap, and at the cornice of the brick building was another stone crown molding. It was not a classical crown molding, it was a stylized flat molding. And then the entrance tower, as you see on the left and the right image, was a stone volume that had a 2-story entry incised within a projecting skin, and then a balcony at the 3rd floor, which was the balcony in our office. So I'll go back to the first image. And so you see we had a 2-story conference room above the 2nd floor, and then the 1st floor is the large format window. So there's kind of a discipline about the size of windows, the frequency of windows. It's an attitude about signaling where entries are by denoting material shifts and material changes. And then the sort of highly textured crown molding, all in metal. On the left-hand element, which is the entry tower, if you will, is a lighting opportunity, and it conceals all of the mechanical units for the common areas within the building. Real simple, real elegant, won all sorts of awards. Actually, that's my old office right there in the front. The same kind of restraint happens here at 730 Forest, just down the street from the old office. A 3-story, low-rise, high-density building. And I'm going to tell you how to read this building, right? This is ground floor retail, 2nd floor office, 3rd floor residential. So that's what's in that deli sandwich, right? This is more like a panini, not a club sandwich, right? This is a flat sandwich. Here's why you can read that building this way. So the ground floor is retail, and on the left side, it is office space, and on the right side, it's a bistro. And you can tell that those are the different activities in your drawing. If you were to draw your spaces, the office spaces are all uniform, right? And that's why the windows are all the same. And notice that there's 3 windows for each bay of retail space below. Highly disciplined. You can tell that the 3rd floor is residential and therefore a more permanent long-term occupancy because it's clad in a dark metal panel. It uses double hung windows, operable doors, and operable casement windows. And there's the inset balcony with guardrails. So these are the physical things that distinguish the uses of a building. So this is a building that's explicitly horizontal, that's been broken into 3 compartments to introduce the vertical, which is something I've been encouraging you all to do. And you can also tell where the entrance is, because the entrance extrudes up vertically past the 2 masses, the one on the left, the one on the right, and it has a canopy out front. It's not rocket science. I'm not asking you to be, you know, a poet. I'm asking you to use the tools that you have to clarify program your building as it relates to the architecture. And also notice, for example, that there's a little bit of stone, but not a lot, just to give a more durable finish at the ground floor where salt splashes up against the facade and where brick needs some sort of edge detail at the top of the second floor. So these are things that, you know, metal panel, brick and stone, sash and glass. And, you know, I don't know that I can use fewer materials than that, except to do like an all metal panel building or an all brick building. I'm personally of the ilk that you need to use a few more materials in mixed use buildings because of their interior program and functions. And because often these mixed use buildings, like your own, are in neighborhoods that are somewhat transitional. They might have high-rise multifamily residential. They might have low-rise single-family residential. They might have low-rise retail. They might have clubhouse facilities or cultural facilities. So when the context, in my opinion, has a variety of activities and functions in it, that gives you more latitude to do, I think, a few more materials than one or two. But I always lean to fewer versus more materials. If I was doing a computer data building in a, you know, an industrial neighborhood, for example. And if you're really interested in restraint, look at Purchase College in Purchase, New York, and what the architects back in the 1970s had to do there. At 2425 East Lincoln, the last building I did with Victor's office is this building. Brick with a mottled range, structural steel as a finished material, metal panel, as well as smooth sawn cedar siding. Yeah, actually, all of these have won awards, so I'm very, very proud of all of them. This one is a one-story office building for dentists, as you can see, and you can see there's an interior shot and some exterior shots. The entrance is a little bit taller than every other mass, and so the composition of the facade is regulated and codified in that fashion. What's interesting about this building is it has to have two entrances, one at the street front, which because of zoning meant that the building had to sit close to, if not right on, the property line, but it also needed a rear front, which was where the parking field was located. So the tower was a mediating element that allowed for, in that one volume, a street entry and a parking lot entry. And then the two doctors have their own wings. So Dr. Abbey has the wing on Lincoln, and Dr. Justin has the wing on the parking lot. And then the structural canopy is a link from the street to the entrance, right? Many of you know that we've worked with HOK on the arena, so these are some of our early design sketches for building A and B. Building A and B are braided together, and they sit right upon Woodward Avenue. This is where, if you've been there, where Kid Rock's restaurant is, and the building to the left in this image is building C, and that is that is going to be a speculative office building. So these were the original sort of Lumion renderings. This, of course, is the build out of the arena. So the arena is this big ass building. It sits on a super block, right? So it takes up an entire city block, but it tries to break the building's expression into discrete vertical conditions, of which there are 11. So there are 11 different brick masonry products operating pretty coherently. Here is an example of all of that under construction. So the building in the foreground that you're looking at here is Building C. The main entrance, the Comerica entrance off of Woodward, which you're seeing on the right here, is right here. And then Building AB is this condition here. So the shot you just saw was sort of to the lower right of this image, And this is the obviously south. And this facade is going to have other architecture next to it. This is a more impervious facade, but even that impervious facade is broken into 3 distinct conditions, right? The condition in the middle that reveals the sort of wrap of the ETFE roof of the bowl, and it reveals a mass towards the street, which wraps some of the fenestration from Woodward onto Sproat, and then Sproat Street, and then the more mechanical industrial facade to the right along Cass. This is again Building C that you're seeing broken into individual elements, a blend of brick with punched windows, large groupings of vertical windows, large expanses of curtain wall, punched windows and stone piers with stone caps in the tradition of most industrial buildings, a more stylized industrial fenestration here, and just variations on masonry themes as you make your way around the building. These are more recent shots from the summer, still under construction. Notice the texture in the facade. So the brick is at one plane, and then it moves back, and then the windows are set back within that, and spandrels begin to push back out again. So this is kind of the layering when we take your projects into the next iteration. If we were to work together in January on your projects, this is the kind of detailing that you would be expected of. Okay. Opening day. And then we were all very interested in kind of ghost imagery in terms of like murals that reminded people of what this was, and that Detroit has a history like many other Midwest or Rust Belt cities like Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, right? They all have these ghost murals on them, so we deployed those. I love this shot, the ETFE roof, which is that curving round membrane roof. But I also really appreciate the discipline of masonry, of the spandrel, and of the variety of masonry materials. Very restrained, very ornamental, very much in the tradition of old school buildings, but given a very, very crisp, modern sort of sensibility. Another, I think, terrific shot indicating like spandrel panels that have texture and inset conditions in them with light fixtures on them, a cornice or an OG type cornice molding that separates all of the fenestration condition from brick spandrel, and even the coping color, which typically would have gone away or might have been blonde like you see here, was given a dark color to pick up the stone spandrel condition that you see below. So I really love the variations on a theme that are operating in this piece. The sort of cantilevered aluminum canopies that give sort of texture to the skin and shadow to it. And then notice, of course, up above the piers, there's a highly textured condition operating at a belt line, just really where the lintels might be above every large window grouping. And notice how the vertical piers have their own texture, their own relief, their own offset to them. So I think this is something that, when you start to detail your work, if you're going to do the larger elevation drawing, this is something that you can start to explore. It doesn't have to be all brick of the same color. Here's an example of 2 different brick operating with stone, right? And then the inset panels have rotated the brick in a vertical, almost soldier course fashion to create a spandrel panel that operates within the more normative and traditional brick veneer, which is obviously in a running bond sort of orientation. And the ghost imagery, right, is lightly applied on top of that. So these are some projects that I had access to and wanted to share them with you, especially for this last talk tonight. I think it's always really, I think, an obligation, right, for faculty members to talk about their own work in sort of academics or in practice. And since most of my colleagues are operating in purely academic settings, which is fantastic, I feel obligated to talk a little bit about my involvement in projects, so that you can see what I'm doing, so that I try to sort of practice what I preach, right? So that I walk the walk. And so I'm happy to end the semester's lecture series, on really that note. So let's pause for a second. If there's any questions about what you've seen, I'm interested to hear them. Any questions about what you've seen, or any questions about what I've referenced, so we can go into a couple more housekeeping things, and then we can go right into the individual sessions.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you said that you only wanted to see 3 materials on the facade, can you hear me?
Lost you. Now I can. When you said that I what?
So you said keep it down to 3 materials, and then you showed a project that had about, like, if you count the sashing and the windows, does that count as a material, or just like the exterior material?
Well, yeah, I guess you have to count the the aluminum sash and glass, but like an all metal panel building with curtain wall is kind of just 2 materials, right?
Yeah.
And I think in some buildings, like I was saying, that's kind of an appropriate minimum or maximum, really. High rises, skyscrapers, I think you could expect that. I think in dumb buildings, right, that are kind of like storage buildings, I think you could expect that. But in buildings where, again, I think I was trying to say this, and maybe I'm not getting through, but in buildings where the context is very rich, and in buildings where the program is also varied and rich, I think it gives you some latitude to go beyond kind of binary material choices, like one or the other. I think you can do 2 or 3 or even 4. But ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. The more chainsaws you juggle, right, the more dangerous, right? So when you're saying, oh, I'm going to do 4 materials because context is rich, and I want the architecture to its inherent richness, be careful what you wish for, because the to join and stitch together and compose and organize and evaluate color, texture, mortar, finish, luster, right? It becomes design is a series of decisions. And the more materials, the more decisions you open yourself up for. So in the context of our studio, I would err on the side of restraint, Carmen. And in my own practice, I move towards restraint versus, Baroqueness or Rococo. I feel like it's more problematic. It's more problematic for budget. It's more problematic for construction. It's more problematic for cost. I mean, it's just and just compositional control.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So it's worth thinking about, in my opinion. Who else? That's a great question. Now, not everybody, right? Like your next professor next semester, Carmen, may say that that's just, I'm full of shit, and that would be fine. And you're going to walk out of this experience going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I'm telling you from someone in the trenches like you guys, designing buildings and not doing research because I'm not smart enough for that. But in the trenches like I am, this is my advice. This is my personal advice to you. And I'm not the only one that says that. The people I work with understand that, and the people that I was mentored by, including Victor Soroki, say that. And if you look at Victor's work, it's usually pretty pure. It's usually pretty restrained. You know, Carmen, we just lost a very important, mature architect in last weekend in Irving Tabachman. Mostly a residential architect in the Birmingham Bloomfield area. And his houses were really something to behold. They were really signature pieces, and they were coveted by many families, you know, in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, Franklin area. His interiors were a knockout. Always had these black flagstone floors. All of the millwork was blonde oak. All of the walls were white, inside and out. He did everything in white brick. All of the windows were dark or dark clear, so they read as black. But he painted all of the brick white. So his houses appeared really from the interior landscape as 3 materials, and from the exterior as 2, white and black. All of his buildings were like that. Richard Meyer's buildings are like that. So Irving Tabachman is on the front page of the Free Press today, and many of his buildings, including his own home on Greenwood in Birmingham, is an example of that. Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting him. I always enjoyed his work. And you could drive down any of the streets in Birmingham and Bloomfield and go, oh, there's a Tabachman. You know, you wouldn't know who lived there, but you'd know it was a Tabachman. So the pursuit of restraint also promoted, that's correct, promoted a brand identity, an architectural identity, in much the way that Richard Meyer's own work has done for the last 50 years. Nancy, I want to apologize. I think I overlooked inviting you to tonight's session. So everybody gets like forgotten once during this semester. Tonight, I think it might have been you, but maybe it was you again. I think I've forgotten Rasha like 3 times already. That's how lame I am. So I'm glad you're here. Any other questions? Okay, we still have a couple more minutes. Okay, you guys, I want to remind you that basically 1 month from tonight is our last class, which means that right now you're in you should all be in kind of like a concerned mode, or if you're like me, a panic mode, right? You should all be thinking, how much can I do with the little time that I've got left? You have literally our last class on the 12th of December, which is 1 month from tonight. You work backward from that. You have your reviews on Friday the 8th. Pencils Down is on Tuesday the 5th. And I'll remind you all right now what that is and what that means. It means that business on Tuesday the 5th, you all stop working. You stop modeling, you stop rendering, you stop designing, right? You just stop. You have to stop. And that cessation operates on the honor system, because you need to sleep that night and get a good night's sleep, because on Wednesday and Thursday, you need to organize your slide deck, right? You need to write your script, right, for your verbal presentation. I don't want you winging your presentation. I want you to have a 3x5 card that has notes on it that you follow so that you cover all the material in the 9 minutes that you need to cover. Remember, this is a compulsory studio. You have to demonstrate that you've covered all your bases. You a cheat sheet, right? You're going to create it. I'm not giving it to you, but I'm giving you the permission to bring to the final exam your cheat sheet so that you can make sure that you cover your material, right? Because you must cover it, right? So you can't just wing the presentation. You have to hit it, right? Oh my God. So you need Wednesday and Thursday to do that, right? Some of you may need Thursday to drive here, or Friday morning to drive here. So you need to be, mindful of that time commitment, because we start at 1 o'clock sharp on Friday the 8th. So pencils down is campus-wide for all of the studios at this point, as the advanced design studios, and that gives you time to prepare for your final presentation. I also want you to practice your final presentation in the mirror, in front of dad, in front of mom, your roommate, a stranger at the bus stop, whomever, and make sure that they grasp what you're saying. You have to practice it. I'll just say this again. You must practice your presentation, right? You're going to be graded on this stuff. So I want you to know that I expect that. And if you do that, it'll be so much easier for you the day of, all right? You also, on Wednesday and Thursday, need to review the presentation of your colleague, right? So I'm assuming that sometime on Tuesday, you upload something, right, to the Google Drive so that your classmates can see it. You can tweak it, you can replace it, you can exchange it, but when you have the package done, upload it. Your fellow colleague, right, can look at it and get familiar with it before they come into the review with you, right? So again, we will have you need to have your presentation available to them in advance of the review so that they can get familiar with your project statement, right, as well as your work, right? So there's a lot to do after pencils down, but I want you to respect pencils down as a stop designing, right? The week before pencils down, and we will meet the night of pencils down. I just want to go over a couple of things. It will be a synchronous class, but we won't talk for more than 15 minutes. All right, and we will probably have that class at like 6:30 p.m. That night, not 5:30 p.m. And I'll clarify that all in writing on Sunday the week before. The week before pencils down is crunch week. I call it hell week, but I type it out as crunch week. That's when you're balls to the wall. That's when you're rendering. That's when you're putting a lot of work together. That's when you're satisfying the requirements in terms of your drawings, so that you have everything that you need, right? I am not holding class that week. This is the week after Thanksgiving. I do not hold class during crunch week. But if you need to see me, if you want to show me your work, if you have a question, if you're on the ledge, whatever it is, I can be in there. I can be in the classroom for you, right? You just have to ask me. All right? So you have to text me or email me, and we'll meet if you need to. But I have found that very few times has that been necessary. But I'm here for you if you need that. But there's no class the week after Thanksgiving. And the week of Thanksgiving, right? Because Thursday's Thanksgiving, I'm not holding class on Tuesday. But if you need to see me on Tuesday, I'm available for you. Leaves tonight and Thursday night. So I need to see all of you this week. I need you to be talking to me about if you're going to be doing options and which ones they are. And I need to stress for those of us who are lagging behind in terms of deliverables that you're making progress by tonight for where you were at the last last session. So I need to see market improvement. And if I'm seeing this week that you're missing wholesale categories or sections based on benchmark 2, I'm going to tell you that I'm freaking out. All right. So I want you to know that in advance. Okay. And that you should be freaked out. Right. So like you should like say, oh shit, I've really got to do the wall section now. And I'm going to do that now and tomorrow, and I'm going to send it to Mark on Thursday. Right. So if there's a deficiency, please tell me what it is tonight so I don't have to infer it, and tell me what our schedule is going to be to get you there. All right. Because this is really the last stop for gas. 1 month from tonight, the last class. I sure have enjoyed it. Who's first tonight? Let me pull this up. Are there any questions? Told you all it was going to go fast. Carmen and Michael, I'm ready to rock.
All right.
And I'm not sure, I think Ash is having class tonight, so kind of hang around. Rasha, Alex, Nancy, Joshua, Andrew, kind of hang around because I think he wants to have a session after I'm done with Wu and with Lynn. All right. And there's a chance that I may only be talking to Wu tonight and not Lynn. So it might actually be more like 8:15 or 8 o'clock if I move through the plan crits tonight. So I will invite Ash at one point, and if you're not here, I'll re-invite you. But kind of hang around, maybe with the volume down low. All right. Thanks, everyone. Carmen?
Yes.
Do I have to freak out about anything?
No, I think I do.
You think you do?
So I did have a couple questions. So I did, just as you asked, and I highlighted let's see. So I highlighted the sheet, the benchmark 3. So I've labeled things that I have to complete this week. So from 13th to the 18th. So I have until Sunday. And then the week of November 20th to the 25th. And then the week after that, which is November 27th to the 2nd. So this week I was working on the site plan, all the floor plans, and all the elevations.
Gotcha.
And I had a question. Yeah, I just want to get that done. And then ADA, which I just had a couple things to do. So in regards to the site plan, and I could share my screen.
Please do.
Let me see. Okay. So the site plan, let me see. This is my question. So I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't import Michael's model. So what I did is I took this sheet that you provided, and I drew over it, and then I put the buildings and kind of some of the sidewalks and elevation. It kind of looks like this.
That's fine, and I'm sad that you weren't able to use the effort by Michael. Did you? So maybe talk to him about that. But I think that's the way I would have approached. Just like, oh shoot, I got to figure out another way to do it, right? So that's kind of how you have to act in an office, right? There's always 2 or 3 ways of doing the same thing. Do the way that's easiest for you and quickest for you. So that was excellent. And I want to mention, I'm delighted to see City Modern in the site plan. You all need to have City Modern in the site plan.
So that was, you just answered it. So should I be putting City Modern in there, or should I be putting kind of like what's in Michael's model where it's the existing?
Plus City Modern.
Okay. All right, so I'll just keep it as it is. There were a couple things, I don't
Yep.
know.
I think the program brief says that, actually.
Okay, all right. So that was my question. I modified the underground parking.
Now, I'm looking, let's go back to the site plan. I don't know where that drawing is in its evolution. I don't know if it's finished, for example.
It
But
is not. No.
the things, yeah, okay. So right now, I can't tell where your site is. So you need to recalibrate the graphic sensibility so that your site is the most prominent figure
Okay.
or element in the drawing, and everything else, including City Modern, is much quieter, right? Right? You sort of
Yeah.
like it's a figure ground drawing right now. So City Modern as a development is no different than the existing houses and apartment buildings next to you. So maybe look at examples of site plans online,
Mm-hmm.
in the Blackboard folder. Look at how
Yeah,
existing and proposed conditions were
I
illustrated.
found a couple that I liked. For example, this was one. This would really be my goal, like to have it on something like this or like that.
Yep,
So
I
I know I
agree.
have a lot of work to do. Like something like that where it says, I don't know,
Yep.
like the City Modern where it says A5,
Mm-hmm.
A3, and then the streets. So it's just a little bit.
You don't have to label the building names of City Modern
Okay.
unless you're labeling everything on the site plan. Basically, I think the premise of this studio is it says Hamilton Anderson was not hired. You've designed, Carmen, but everything else and everyone else that designed City Modern did their work, and it sits exactly where you showed it.
Okay. All right. I also wanted to show you the underground parking. So I added my second
Gotcha.
set of stairs, rearranged the entire lower level, moved over the underground ramp.
Your speed ramp changed.
Yeah. So now I can fit 46 down below.
Okay, so
this is
good.
only-
Let me just stop you right now at column line F, right?
Mhm.
So you don't have a space there. So you're going to want to protect that column with paint, right? Or a guardrail. You know what I'm saying? So you need to figure out a way to protect that thing, because it's the only one I think that's out in the middle of nowhere. Can you zoom in on that area? I want to look at space 12.
Yeah.
I think space 12 can be a perpendicular space, not an angled space.
And then you said protecting the column with a guardrail, did you say?
Something, paint stripe. So like the two lines that define the line for 13, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those lines, click on them. They should wrap around that column. They should extend out into the parking realm. Yep,
Okay.
yep. And when you do that, I think it allows you to reorient 12 and just let that be a perpendicular space, because the angle of it relative to 11 is a little wonky.
Yeah.
So I think someone's just going to pull straight in there.
And I didn't want to lose those spots. I mean, extending all
Right.
these parking spots out here, I'd lose
Right.
this one, I'd lose these two, I'd lose 4 down there.
Right.
So I thought
Right.
I'll just keep it and get rid of one space.
So you have 46 down below?
40.
You have
yeah,
46 down below?
46 down
And
below.
can we look at the top floor?
So I have 52. I could always get rid of 2 if we just need exactly 50.
Get rid of 2. You're still not showing all the line work on your site plan.
No,
you're not showing.
That's what I have to get. That's what I have to work on.
And the ramp has moved. The ramp has moved, so the parking spaces may need to move.
Okay. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, the underground, it shows it between.
Column lines that the ramp is coming up on.
That'd be
It's
right
coming up
here.
between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So go back to the ground floor and zoom out so I can see the column bubbles.
Mhm.
Back to the ground floor. Yeah, ground floor. And zoom out so I can see the column bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you may have to rework that parking.
Okay.
And if you only need 4, you could maybe introduce them off the alley.
Okay, off the alley. Okay, perfect.
Now, let's go back downstairs for a second.
Mm-hmm.
When to the ground floor, or I'm sorry, to the basement floor.
This is the basement.
Yeah. So that speed ramp is going to rise vertically as it moves towards the alley, right? So
Mhm.
part of that ramp sits on the ground, right?
Yes.
As it runs vertically, it starts to create headroom underneath it so that you can actually drive under it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but there's going to be a moment when, so first of all, you want to show the dashed line work of the ramp moving up overhead. Anything in a floor plan that has dashed lines is indicating overhead ceiling conditions. So you're going to want to recognize that with respect to the ramp. Okay?
Okay.
Also, the squiggly line is what I'm talking about now in that area. So there's going to be kind of a square bulkhead that the speed ramp sits on. You should indicate that and then show, I just should draw this for you, but
I can stop sharing just so
hold on
I
a
can.
second. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
This is what you have right now. Wait a second. Here.
Mhm.
This is what you have right now, right?
Yes.
What I'm saying is you should draw this and then
Can you leave it there for a second? I'm just gonna copy it really fast.
take a picture.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So the dash line is indicating the stringers of the ramp, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
right? This thing here, concrete, right? That's the base of the ramp.
Okay.
And then your drive aisle sort of probably, does something like that. And that parking space I'm talking about, you back to your ground floor plan, your basement plan,
Yes.
screen share your basement plan.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got this. What I'm saying is do this.
Right next to. Without seeing you complete it. There you go.
And then you've got the column here. It's kind of sloppy. I apologize. It's got a couple of things going on in it. But do this. There's your column.
I see. Okay. Got it.
And that's the curb or the paint stripe, Carmen, that protects the column.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Bueno. What else?
I think your presentation was perfect with what I needed for today. I printed out just like a couple images of
Oh, that's
materials.
nice.
This was all
Can you hold
that I
that still
think.
for a second? Can you hold that still for a second?
Yeah. It was a little bit more traditional
That's a
than
beautiful building. Where is that, New York?
I'd have to go back and double check. I just kind of like copied and pasted. Then there were like this type of material right there.
Uh-huh.
Was all that metal. So I was just taking a look at windows. I'm gonna finalize by Tuesday, and then like the windows with the metal, because I really
Yeah,
like
that's a nice building. I know that building. Okay.
Yeah, so I think they were very sophisticated just with the colors that they use, plus the metal. I like the window dimensions.
Yeah.
So that is just what I'm kind of like pulling it all together. So that the presentation was very helpful with just the colors, the redesign,
Good.
just all of those. So I want to see what I can do with it. So I'll have something to send you for like Saturday or Sunday, just if you could take a look at it.
I'm only getting a haircut on Saturday. That's all I'm doing. So I'd be happy to meet or look at anything. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
Uh-huh. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Did you get the recast grade sheet?
Yes, I did.
Last week?
Yeah, I actually haven't read it since I got it, so yes, yeah.
Okay, good. Do you have any questions about it?
Not in particular, no.
Okay. Okay, good. Do I have anything to worry about? Do I have anything to freak out about? Have you been able to hit everything that needs to be done?
I'm not completely there yet. What was I gonna say? Like I haven't worked on the wall section yet.
Okay.
But that's mostly because I haven't chosen a enclosure yet, but
Yeah, that's kind of central. So, I mean, there's kind of like curtain wall and concrete is kind of what your building, looks like, but I don't know if it's poured in place concrete. You talk a lot about structure and the structural demising partitions as a way of sort of organizing things, but then I also remember the notion about kind of like a double structural system in a horizontal way, that things stacking and creating kind of structural independence. I remember that conversation. So I'm hopeful that I'm keeping my fingers and my toes are crossed right now, and it's hurting like hell, but that you've spoken to Ash about that and that he's loaded your wagon.
I spoke to him briefly, but I haven't completely finished that.
Okay, so you need to meet with him, not just briefly. I think you need to sit down with him and explain what you were hoping to do, and just say, is what, or simply say, what should I do with the time that we have left, given the current design proposition, so that I can, hit all of the requirements that you and Mark are looking for. Let's work through this sort of strategically or tactically, because I want you to cover all of those bases. And I think he'll probably say concrete, but I want to give him the chance to articulate that or express that. If it's concrete, then the wall section is pretty straightforward insofar as, the wearing surface, and you have to find a way to insulate it on the inside regardless of the pores thickness, unless it's so super thick, which is not reasonable, but unless it's so super thick that you don't need insulation or even drywall on the inside. But my guess is that you're going to have to work through some sort of thermal resistive strategy, right, for even a 10-inch concrete pour.
Mhm.
You need to work through that with ash.
Okay. I think my best bet.
So tackle him right away.
Yeah, I think my best bet for that is printing out what I have and then going to him so we can mark it up together. I'll set up.
Bring that to the front burner. That's a great strategy. So the wall section is something you're needing to work on. Is there anything else?
Here, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see this?
Okay.
So here's
Not yet. There it is.
here.
Oh, you have like 2 computers up. How do you do that?
I just opened the link on my personal laptop.
Ah, brilliant.
So I fixed up the facade a lot. This entire part facing Alfred, I added windows. I also added these 2-story bay areas.
I love those.
Yeah, so a few of the apartments now are going to be 2-story lofts. So they'll be smaller in footprint, but there will be a footprint on 2 floors.
I think the window units are. I don't think there's enough mullions.
Boy, okay.
I
And the
think-
2-story
I
ones
think-
are all of them.
In all of them. So in like the second floor. Well, let me be very careful to say this because I love the the amount of transparency in that unit. I want to make sure you understand that, right? So I love the quantity of area. I don't mind the number of vertical mullions, but I think you're going to need horizontal mullions like 2 feet up from the slab to introduce to do 2 things, Michael. One, to break that vertical height of glass into something more reasonable, right? From an installation and from a cost perspective. Not that cost is a driver, but more importantly, from the perspective of the necessity to provide fresh air into these units by virtue of kind of an operable awning window, right? That you can crank open. Has a little governor. I'll do it from the side. Has a little governor, right? And it only opens like that. You could have 1 open or all 4 open or 2 open at each end, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, like,
that'll reduce the run of the vertical height of glass. It'll introduce another line, which I think will help give a little bit more fine grain to the expression. And I think if you look at the 2-story units, I think you're going to have, if you extend the line of the header of the 1-story units across, you're going to have in the 2-story unit there, and then you're going to have one just above it at like the 2-foot line above the floor. So you're going to have like a 3-foot spandrel, or I don't know if that makes sense, but you're going to have. So you take your cursor and I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. So you're going to have you've got a window right now. You've got it really like what I've got it drawn as, which is kind of biased more to the top than the bottom. That's what you've got. You see that?
Yeah.
That's the 2-story unit. What I'm saying is you're going to need to drop the one line lower and do the other line higher.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And what what I'm saying is in that two-story space, right? I'm saying you need a horizontal, like 2 feet above the floor. Then there's the 8 foot, and then there's the floor. And then there's another one. I'm having trouble drawing this thing. Like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
I actually like the black. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, so it's just painted black with the material right now to separate it. I was looking at a few materials. This is rock paneling, which is very similar to what you designed, or presented.
Yeah.
But made out of rock. So something like this or your metal cladding could work on the outside. And then I could choose a white and black one if I wanted, or just something to differentiate.
So if this building is actually a panelized thing, like a cementitious panel, a metal panel, or whatever, then there's a whole other conversation, right, about jointing. If it's poured in place concrete, then there's only like joints and that are relative to the concrete. So that's something you want to talk to Ash about. But there is something kind of compelling about the sense of mass and weight that the all white gives you. So if you go with a panel system like fiber cement or metal panel, I would suggest that you try to create an effect with very few joints or minimal joints in terms of width and height, so that you create a more uniform aesthetic. Because there's something really powerful about this thing as a thing that's all white or is all black.
I agree. All right.
So also where there are the balconies, you're going to need doors. So you have to, so there's like a layer of grain, there's a layer of information that has to be operating in this model to show those things. Just like I was talking about tonight, you know, canopies indicate entry, right? Residential units have double hung windows. The office buildings have uniform windows. You can read architecture this way. But right now, everything's reading as fixed glass with no ability to leave the apartment itself, right? Because everything's fixed glass. So I think you need ventilating glass and you need operable glass doors to get in and out from those balcony conditions, if you're still using balconies.
Yeah, I think so. I just I haven't gone through and populated all of the rooms yet.
And then just one little thing, I wouldn't do the bollards. I don't think, you know, it's not an embassy, right? So it doesn't need that kind of security or protection from like vehicles and things like that. That's why we do those things, or we do bollards like this to illuminate paths in the landscape. But I don't mind like low planter walls for planters and water features, but I wouldn't do a peristyle of bollards around the site, particularly on the streets, because it signals kind of a, you can't fucking come here. Right?
Yeah.
It signals the wrong message, I think, to a building that's wanting to connect historical context. And then the big deal for your project is the minimal footprint, bias to the east, right? Running from Alley to Alfred, so that you privilege the park. So I think it's going to be really important that you show an additional view coming eastbound on Alfred and showing what that west facade looks like and what the park as exactly what that looks like as a foreground element.
Yeah, so the park layout isn't finalized by any means. It's something I just started working on, but it definitely helps to show or to see what's in it. A lot of trees. The ramp here, I extended it all the way up and go to the site plan. So it can be like a green roof going up here. Shadows are messed up, but here in this area and this area are just planters. I thought, those could be operated or owned by the residents. This right here, it's just a Zen garden. It's peaceful, but I also had way too big of a footprint for the retail space.
Let's go there.
So what I did, yeah, it keeps lagging.
Yeah, I noticed that. Zoom out and then maybe zoom in. Can you just pan?
Let me try and reopen it. Right here, well, this shows it. So since those two retail spaces were so big,
Right, I'm still not seeing it. I still have your logo.
oh.
Did you screen share it?
And I'm gonna rejoin.
There we go. Oh, just went away. There it is.
Okay, so the retail space was super large. I took your suggestion. I moved the electrical
Yeah.
room down the lower corner. So now all of this facade is dedicated to the retail, and
Yeah.
part of this, the leasing office, I moved to right there.
Yeah. Good.
And then there's another retail space. And then in between the two, I just kind of cut a hole going through the first floor so that you, even if you don't have the desire to go down there, you can look through, see the tree, see
Sure.
the Zen garden.
Yep.
And then also what I was thinking is
Okay.
these windows that I just put in here could be replaced with like a rolling glass panel. And so
Uh-huh.
say if this wasn't a regular retail, say if it did end up being a like a community harvest type thing, or even just an event space,
Yeah.
it can open up into this. And so it gains a larger footprint. And then one of these could be a like a nano wall or something, and then
Right.
you get all of that exterior.
Mm-hmm. Does in the area, Michael, where you've got that little like Chinese bridge, right?
Yeah.
That footbridge, is that spanning over an opening that looks into the parking level below?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna like in the conversation that I had with Carmen a minute ago, where you show on the plan items above that are relevant, like overhead conditions, you show that as dashed line work. You're going to want to show that on that parking plan. You're going to want to show that incision and the bridge as dashed line work. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this
Capiche?
was my plan for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of graphical standards that my drawings, especially these sections, need to be bumped up to.
So here's what I want to say about that. Based on the way you're trending in our studio, based on the progress I've seen tonight, and the quality of the decisions you're making that are leading to the design that you have for us tonight, I'm here to say that if you continue to press the way you have been, you're going to make it.
Cool. It's good to hear.
So I'm have the section and the conversation with Ash completely resolved yet, so I'm freaking out. But here's why I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out because you're getting closer to nailing this thing, and I want you to nail this thing. But if you don't do that conversation, if you don't work out that wall section, then it's going to be a huge hit on all of the hard work that you've been exerting, really. And I'm noticing this since Benchmark 2, right? So I'm wildly excited about how far you've been coming on this thing, but I'm still freaking out. But I'm feeling really good. I'm just trying to be completely honest and at the same time encouraging. Is that translating?
Yeah, completely. And actually, I would have to say if I was freaking out about anything, it would be the structural system of this upper part and the how the walls come together.
So, Michael, face the music.
Yeah.
Go to Ash.
Yeah.
Email him right now and say, I can meet offline right now, or I can come in tomorrow. Michael, you have to take advantage of this. You live in Livonia, right? You could go to Ann Arbor and make it convenient for him to do that because you're halfway there, or you could go to campus. I mean, take advantage of this. It's a necessity for you. You're this close.
Okay.
You'll kick yourself if you don't do this. And then I'll kick your ass if you don't do this. Yes.
That was most of the big changes. I did do one little layout here for the rooms. We don't have to,
Yeah, let's look at those because I haven't seen these when they've been smart sized yet. So what's this interlocking L thing? Is this all kitchen? That kitchen's big.
okay. Oh, this, yeah, that was just the kitchen family I was working off of here. Let me show you the.
You've worked out.
Oh, that was the right
You
floor.
need
Yeah.
like a sleeping room and a bathroom and a kitchen. These
These two are
650 unit.
these two are actually the only one I've been working on, and these are the smaller lofts, so everything's a lot more open. The kitchen here is right there.
So like in the 551, where am I sleeping in 551? In 106?
You go up these stairs,
Right, because this is the 2-story.
and then your bed's right there.
Yeah, never
in the
mind.
closet.
Yeah, never mind. Okay, let's go back downstairs. Can I just look at a 600 square foot unit and what your idea is for
I have not worked out
that?
any of those units yet.
Okay, so a lot of your classmates, if you go into their folders, have looked at this, and you could learn, I think, a lot about how straightforward they are. But they are fun. While they are fun to work out, they have to be worked out,
Right.
right? Because like 30, can you go back to your plan there for a second? Like 304 is not the same thing as 306.
Right.
Not the same thing as 308.
Mhm.
Each one is different. So try maybe to think of, remember the Cleveland project that I showed you with Stanley Sadowitz with Natoma Architects, right? So they color coded like a green swath, a ribbon along the corridor wall that graphically kind of indicated the infrastructure for each unit. You know, bathrooms, kitchens,
Mhm.
closets, that kind of stuff. Was not colored green. That was like bedrooms and living rooms. So think of organizing that stuff in these small units
That was
in a rigorous, simple way.
that was
So let that be the constant that works on all of these units, and then let the variable be the sleeping room / living room.
what project did you say that was?
It was that lecture that I gave you, Stanley Sadowitz. It's a Cleveland housing project. If you look Sadowitz up, here, I'll type him in. If you look him up on his website or type that name into, there it is. If you type that name into the, SAI, then you can see it. Sadowitz, Cleveland, Ohio, housing. SAI.
Oh, I see. The Cleveland.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so it's the yep. Go to images. Oh yeah, there's this one. Remember this one?
Yeah.
So click on this project and get into the drawings, or scroll down, or
Maybe there's an arc date.
I showed you all these drawings. It was in Arc Daily. I know that because I grabbed those images. Keep going. That drawing.
This one.
See that? Yeah. See that?
Mm-hmm. Services, kitchen,
Those are your units,
storage. Okay.
right? So green indicates services, right? And then the variables, like look at the variables, right? Living room, bedroom. Good stuff. But the same rigor that he went through is what you have to go through. Look at those units. That's that green bar that you just highlighted. That's on the left of this unit,
Yeah, I see that.
and it's a cool unit,
Units. Bookmark.
and it's all concrete. Ceilings, floors. I think Tracy and I are going to go there over the Christmas break because I want to see this bad.
Yeah.
And I want to have my own experiences of it for the next time I talk about it. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Cool. Keep going, Michael. You're almost there.
Thanks. This was informative.
Thanks. Okay, let's see. Eric. Do I still have Eric here? Yep. Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do we have anything to freak out about?
Nope. I think I'm in good shape.
I would too. I do think that for your project, the thing I'd like to see you really sort of explore is that the skin of the building and the way that you approach that. I'm not necessarily talking about doing the large elevation drawing, but maybe help, you know, maybe the lecture tonight looking at metal panel, maybe looking at brick, the way we did, will help you maybe think of it not as just one consistent skin that's wrapping around it, but maybe breaking it into more sort of discrete moments.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to work for you, but I think it's worth looking at. And I'm trying to encourage you to do that, and then I can look at that with you. But you got to want to do that. I'm not telling you to do it, but if you do it, I'll look at it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting to this point where I'm going to start tackling that here pretty soon. So maybe even by the end of the night, I'll have something. I can shoot you an email on it or something.
You know, I'll look at it.
Okay.
I'm going to let you keep flying because I like the project and I like what you've tackled so far. And what option are you going with again? Are you doing the modeling of it, or are you doing the Department of Energy ComCheck thing? I forgot.
No, I was actually going to do one of the street elevations.
Gotcha.
And
so that option and what we just said, I think it'll be a better option to choose if you really apply some sort of design pressure to that skin.
Right. Okay.
Cool. That's all I got.
I'm sorry?
That's all I got.
Okay. Well,
just keep flying.
Short and sweet. That's the way we like it.
At the end of the semester, it should be.
Right. All right.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
Paige, there you are, Paige. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Do we have anything to freak out about?
Not too much. I still have to. I chose a different envelope to work with. I think I am gonna go with the aluminum paneling.
Oh, good. Right. I remember now. We talked a little bit about maybe migrating away from kind of a lick and stick stone, Flintstone kind of vibe to something that was more like a veneer or maybe a different sort of strategy altogether.
Mm-hmm. So let me put a few things together for you and send them.
Okay. Oh. Want me to talk to Wu first, or do you want to go ahead and send them?
I'll send them right now.
All right.
Oops. Mm-mm. Waiting for it to load. Okay, I just sent them.
I got him.
So those are just my elevations in a 3D. I switched to using their panels that are made of polypropylene corrugated core in between finished aluminum sheets.
Okay.
They're called Omega Flex panels. I found them.
Yep. Who makes this product? Do you remember?
Let me see.
Is it Aluka Bond?
They're called Omega Panel Products, like eye laminators, I think.
Okay. Okay. So, first of all, so let me ask you a question.
Yes.
How do you feel right now about this?
I'm okay with it. I like it better than what I had before. I'm still wanting to use masonry veneer, and so I set that in the balconies to kind of give that a darker, it's like a gray masonry veneer in the balcony area and the insets.
So I'm a little torn about that comment.
Okay.
I want to go back to your response. I really like this. No, you just froze, so I want to make sure you heard me.
Yep.
I really like where this building has gone to.
Okay.
Paige, this is looking like a building now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm delighted for you, and that's. I hope you feel good about that. I mean, I hope. I want you to hear that. I want you to hear that I'm enthusiastic about it. No, did you catch that?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't strike me as someone who's like, really effusive and all right, high five.
Mm-hmm.
But like right now in this semester, you should be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, and like I just said to Michael, you're getting really, really close to having a complete project now. So whatever we got to do to get you there, I want to do that, or I want to rely on you to get you there, right? So if there's things that are missing in the project, or things that are not clear, find people to help you get there. If it's Ash, if it's me, if it's another professor that you're working with at school, all hands on deck right now, because you've almost crossed the line. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm excited for you. So, for me, lighting facade is the south facade.
Yeah.
It's the alley facade. When I'm standing in the alley looking north, that's plate 4, right?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting facade. Now I want you to stop your screen share for a minute, or I want you to screen share. I want you to open up your browser and type in Richard Meyer. I used his name earlier tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you aware of his work?
Not too much. I've heard of his name, but I haven't really seen much of his
You guys are
work.
so profoundly young. How do you not know these things? So
I don't
open up your
know.
browser and screen share.
Okay, let me screen share.
Are you still there? You're back.
Yeah. I don't know, I clicked screen share and it like my browser closed. Let me try this again. Okay. Now I got it. I don't know what happened. So Richard Meyer, is that how you spell his name?
M-E-I-E-R, Richard Myers and Partner, down there. And let's go to the Getty Museum. Type in Getty, G-E-T-T-Y. Have you been to LA?
No.
Okay, go to images. And let's look at, I want like an elevation view. Can you scroll down and try to find a picture of like a pure elevation? Okay, well, slow down. Okay, so the second image at the top.
That one?
Yep.
Okay.
Right, scroll down again. Let's look at another one. Keep going. Look for an elevation. Okay, I'm not finding any.
That one?
So let's look at Getty, like type in Meyer, but go to drawings, Getty drawings. And okay, go to the top row.
This one?
And look at the elevation sketches. Third one from the right.
Third one from the right.
Yep.
This one?
Yep. Look at those drawings. Actually, that's the Frankfurt Museum. That's the that is the Kunsthandwerk Museum in Frankfurt, Germany. Right? Yeah, it is. Although it says Getty, but this is Frankfurt.
Yeah.
But scroll down. Let's look at some more. I want to. Okay, the second image in the. Go back up.
This one?
That second image with the pool is. Let's go to that article.
Let's
go to that and then go to the article. Yeah. Let's go to the view visit. Okay, let's scroll down. These arcdaily.com articles generally load up the project for with drawings and things like that. Close. Scroll down.
There's an image.
Materials.
Yeah.
Look at the materials. Just like what we were talking about tonight. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so interested in the interiors.
Yeah.
Okay, click on that.
This one?
Yep. So, these are amazing, right? This is not as big as your building, obviously. Why does it keep popping up?
I don't know.
So, so here's the thing. I want you to take a little bit longer look at Richard Meyer tonight, and look at his work, look at his drawings, look at his elevations, and begin to ask yourself, why did I bring his name up for your project tonight? And I think if you kind of think about it, it's going to be pretty easy to understand why. The gridded pattern on the metal panel that you're going with here is comparable to his square grid pattern.
Mhm.
The window proportions and the window heights and the window varieties that you've got are comparable to what he's got. The
Mhm.
idea of incised balconies, of colonnades and pergolas on the roof, the complex massing, right, is part of not only his vocabulary page, but also, so move into a new search tab, please, and type in Le Corbusier, and type in the Villa Stein. Nope, Stein, not Savoy. Yep, that's it. Let's go to images of this, and let's look at like the fourth image on the top.
This one or this one?
The fourth image on the top.
Or this one?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing what the connection I'm trying to make here is? Now look at the
Yeah.
year on this.
1927.
This is before the Great Depression. This is 1927. So Paige, all of these guys, Richard Meyer, Charles Gwathmey, right, Michael Graves, Peter Eisenman, even John Haydock, along with a whole bunch of other people after them, because those guys were really, really popular. They looked at this guy and they looked at it really, really carefully. They tore it apart and they tried to make their own work better than him. This was a guy that was kind of like a god to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to kill him, like in an Oedipal way, right? Kill the father to be the better father,
Yeah.
right? So they tried to best him at his own game. And these guys were doing buildings in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The Getty is like year 2000, maybe even earlier. It's probably 1997, 1995. I don't even remember. But so 1995 minus 19. Years later.
Mm-hmm.
So look at Meyer's work and understand that it's inspired by Corbusier's work. That's why I'm connecting your work to theirs. And you'll make if you like doing this kind of architecture,
Mm-hmm.
if you had fun getting to this moment tonight, and if you honestly are telling me the truth that you feel good about this, and that secretly off camera you're ecstatic about this and you're high-fiving yourself, then you'll enjoy looking at Meyer's work more and Corbusier's work more and let them influence you a little bit. You'll end up, Paige, creating your own vocabulary. You'll end up creating your own interpretation of them.
Okay.
And you would be in good company. So maybe the use of brick is still a good idea, Paige, but I would resist doing it as an infill panel on the balconies. I would do a different colored metal panel, maybe with a different jointing, maybe with the same jointing as you've got, and call it a day. But the metal panel on the ground floor, particularly on the two streets, Alfred and John R., that may be problematic. If I go back up to the elevations, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I go back to those, I'm thinking that, and I still feel like the elevations that have the the piano key windows on the first floor, those look kind of unusual. They don't look resolved to me. I think they need to be much bigger openings. But maybe that entire first floor is the charcoal colored brick. Because
Okay.
brick is a really good material for salt and rain and vandalism and damage, right? The metal panel is going to get dented. It's going to react to the salt, you know, for like the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So maybe think of that first floor, that datum, completely differently. Maybe think of it as a completely different color, charcoal, not as individual piano keys like you're doing it like my fingers are here,
Mhm.
not like this, but do them as big, long openings, maybe groups of like 5 of them, like, or 4,
Okay.
like you have above. Or maybe the first floor is mostly glass,
Okay.
at least on the 2 street facades. Maybe there's just a couple of moments that are strategic in where it's solid wall. But revisit that. I wouldn't revisit the composition and the color of the things above. I would just look at doing the brick as a ground floor condition.
Okay.
What else?
I'm still trying to get a hold of Ash. He hasn't emailed me back, so I'm gonna send him another email to go over some of the sections for the new
To go
material.
over what? You just broke up. What, to go over what?
The new material sections, so the wall sections.
Yeah. Well, now that we've had this conversation, I think it should be a little bit easier.
Yeah. So I still have to draw
Well,
those
maybe-
and then we'll deal with him.
Yeah, maybe kind of draw a cartoon drawing or a freehand drawing of this new wall section, or work out a wall section that deploys this strategy, brick on the ground floor, and then the upper floor is the metal panel, for example, and get him to give him something, give him a reason to talk to you, not just
Mhm. Yeah, and then I also
Right.
have to go over my structural plan with him.
okay. 2 reasons to talk to him. And like I said to Michael, you got to get your butt into his office
Yeah.
sooner now than later, because next week he's going to be distracted with the holiday, just like you probably will be.
Mhm.
And that's when you got to be drawing, not waiting to talk to Ash. All
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So if there's anything I can do or need to do to get you to do that sooner than later, if there's something I can do to help you talk to Ash, I'll do it. But I'm going to rely on you to make sure that you connect. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to talk to him tonight and then schedule something for either tomorrow or Thursday, so I can talk to him and get that done. But
One more
I
time,
also-
because you just froze. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm gonna try to get in with him on tomorrow or Thursday, just to
Okay, sooner the better.
yeah.
Right? Like really press him for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to. And then I have
Okay.
my options laid out that I want to go over with you.
Was there anything else?
So with the options that I want to do for the final,
Right.
I have some that I definitely want to do, and some that I will do if I have the time for it. I want
So
to
you're
try to do as
prioritizing.
much as I possibly can.
Gotcha.
But I really want to do a street elevation, showing the actual texture and color of the specified materials. Definitely want to do the egress route diagrams. And
That should be easy for you.
yeah. And if I have the time, I want to do a physical model.
Could you do it? Could you laser cut it or
I could.
3D print it?
Yeah, now that I have like my building, like for sure, like now I don't have to move anything else around, I have the time to do it. Yeah.
So that's a possibility. That's interesting. So I want you to go back to Richard Meyer's work, and I want you to look at his colored elevation drawings, like the large drawings.
Okay.
I want you to take a look at how he draws them. He has volumes of work published on him. He is one of the most important architects of the 20th century. And so he has, I mean, I have lots of books on it. If you need to borrow books on him, then you need to ask me. We will need to meet and I'll hand them off to you. But you need to go to our library and look at his work. Or you need to go online and look at his work. Really dig into his work. I almost gave a lecture on him this year. I didn't give it to you guys, but now that I've said that, I regret that. But his work is really important.
Okay. And that's really all I have.
Well, I'm really excited for you, Paige. You've made a big leap forward since we met last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very appreciative of you for doing that. And I'm really impressed with skillful resolution that you've brought to the work. It still has some things to go through yet.
Yeah.
And I want you to work on those things, but I need to resist having you continue working on the design, so to speak, at the expense of working through structure and the wall section with Ash. So that's the priority right now.
Yeah.
But the pressure that you have applied to the project since Benchmark 2 is really impressive. And so if you can continue to keep this pace up, I sense good things for you.
Thank you.
All righty, good. So go out and high five your mom and dad and get back to work and go see Ash.
Oh, I will.
Set that up right now.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Paige.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Hey, Lynn, it's Mark Farlow. Are you here? Are you here now, or?
Hi, Mark.
Do you want to meet another time, Lynn?
Another time I think would be best. Yeah, I'll send you some snapshots. I should know more by the end of this evening, and I'll send you an email. That's all right.
Because we can meet another time, or we can make this time session brief, and then we can meet, early next week if that's suitable for you.
Early next week is probably best. I
Okay.
think that would be a little bit more productive than the bits and pieces I have right now. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
thank you.
yeah. So we don't need to talk tonight, then? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
We actually don't need to meet tonight.
Oh, sorry, Mark. You're right. We don't need to meet tonight.
Okay, good. So I'm going to invite Ash to see if he needs to visit with you all, because I actually am not clear, and I'll let you go. I'll keep you and your family in my thoughts. Okay, Lynn?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to email Ash. There he is. Hey, Ash, how are you?
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I think everybody's here and raring to go. So I'm going to let you take over. But I wasn't clear, Ash, if you were going to be meeting with us on this Thursday night or not. So if you could clarify that.
I'm sorry, Mark, the line gets interrupted. Can you repeat the last two words?
Sure. Wondering if you were going to meet with students on Thursday night as well as tonight.
I'm going to talk about integration today, very quick, in 10 minutes. What does this mean? And Thursday night, probably I can meet after you finish and go over with any problems that anybody might have. That's fine for me.
Okay. Perfect.
As I mentioned before, am I ready to go? I don't know the kind of it kind of lapsed the my computer just did an update, very long update. So anyway,
I hate that.
Okay. Some people were wondering again in this online studio and the on-ground version about what's required exactly from this assignment or module 3, as you, Mark, indicated. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
You may need to repeat that.
Okay, thanks, Eric. I just had Mark in front of me, and it's just your photo just stops and comes back, stops and comes back. Anyway, so as Mark mentioned at the beginning of this benchmark 3, which is the final benchmark, we'll go from the preliminary systems that you guys submitted in benchmark 2 into more details. I'm gonna show you very quick what I mean by more details or more refinement in terms of the systems, HVAC, enclosure, and structures. I think again you kind of aced the structure part. I'm very happy with the results, especially this nice module that you guys did. And honestly, I did distribute a couple examples from you before the benchmark is due for the other on-ground, and they did kind of very good as well. So they used you as example and then excelled. So they did provide, some did provide really better product. So it's your turn now to push for the final lap here. Some of you already are meeting with me this week to go over the systems again, especially enclosure and some concerns about HVAC. Let me allow me to share with you what I mean by finalizing things, and that's from your submission here. I'm gonna give 2 examples, and unfortunately they are ladies. Okay, so please guys don't feel upset here. I'm gonna screen share with what I mean by the more details. I'm gonna share with you here Lynn, that's benchmark 2, and what Lynn did in terms of HVAC. She did this schematic. Okay, at this stage I'm just again trying to clarify what's in my mind so that we can match the expectations here and do so that you guys do well in the final. Okay, let's go with this. Okay, she does have the return and the supply right here. That's the supply, and the return is the shorter one. I would expect this is a very good foundation, and she did have the return duct and the supply duct. I would expect that she and others as well, start to laying the supply grill, okay, supply grills in her rooms, okay, and start to find the shortest path for this duct. For example, you have a Lynn, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Usually the duct here, it has to have like a dead end, okay? So this way, this supply duct, most of the air will go in this route, okay? It will not bend to this path here. Why? Because aerodynamics 101, the air will find the shortest path or the easiest path. And in order to make a turn for 90 degrees, it's very hard for the air to do that. So what the air is going to do here is just go all into this unit. So you have to have like a sort of a dead end here, okay? And then this duct comes like sort of bend, okay, to enter this unit. One more another thing here, these share the same line. These should be a little bit staggered, okay? They don't line up this way. So that's a quick comment, but it doesn't negate the very good job that you have done. I'll show you Carmen's, okay? And she has got the extra mile in this benchmark, and I want like everybody to start thinking her way and trying to finalize this this floor plan in terms of where is it? Okay, here's Carmen. So what Carmen did is where is the here? This is more advanced. I'm not saying it's perfect, but at least she started to lay out, as you see here, her supply and return grills. It could have been better than this, okay? But at least that's she lined them up straight, meaning that her grid system in the ceiling is well thought of. I would love to see like a grid for the ceiling. This is how the mechanical engineer and electrical engineer guys start these things. I didn't want to increase the deliverables, but usually they start with a reflected ceiling by the architect to lay out the supply and return grills. So it's not like in this space, it's this is not bad. The exercise room and all the others entrances. They start to look at the reflected ceiling plan and start from there. Try to connect these dots together, okay? Looking at the reflected ceiling. This is their start point, is to execute your dreams. You are the boss, like Mark in Hamilton Anderson. You are the boss. You lead these people to do what's in your mind, what's your dreams are. By the way, Carmen, are you here? Carmen? I can't see anybody. I'm just concentrating on this one. Is very bad relationship with the columns. So I mean, these quirks will be fixed in the final. So again, that's a very simple,
right?
Very simple supply return floor plan, and I'm really proud of this work. Again, it needs some refinement. I can't reveal more than that in front of others, but this is close to what I mean by a mechanical floor plan. So that's regarding the mechanical. Enclosure, this is why I brought lens here. Enclosure is, this is what I'm expecting. I'll show you another examples very quick, just a second here to finalize lens. Where is the, I'm sorry. I'm looking for the wall sections here. Here. These are, again, good for this step. Very, very good. Very annotated, very precise, line weighted, leveled wall section. Let me see here what I'm looking for. The relationship, yes, she did it here. The relationship, how her skin is tied with the structural elements here. How your muscles are connected to your bones. Okay, so she does have a header at slab. It's not very clear here, but I would love to clarify it more. Otherwise, this section is, apart from the thickness of the stud, which is 10 inches. That's a very big stud, very heavy, very hard to hold. This heavy weight porcelain on, regardless if you had changed or not. But I would recommend you guys to go with the 6 inches stud. That's the norm in this case. So this is what I'm expecting. Very nicely done wall sections like this. I'm gonna show you another example, which is very good from the people that submitted this. This is Ed. He doing CLT. Okay, so that's his. He's kind of a little bit crazy. So he did like a Verandil truss. They have different projects, very heavy. More complicated. So he does have like a structure truss on the top of his building. This is another shot, and he's mixing between steel in this rotated mass here and CLT with glue lamb wood. He started doing his structural floor plan and sort of keyed it in. So this belongs to the first floor, second floor, first floor. This is the foundation, probably the first one. Second floor here, third floor with some nice skin on the side for the enclosure that he wants to go with. And the last floor, which is his Verandil truss. This is his HVAC. We had a lot of discussion last time regarding the zoning. So he did not. It looks sexy, okay, but it's not correct. It's not completely correct, because as long as you show the zoning down here, okay, you have to show me how the zoning is reflected on each duct of these. So there should be some split here, and he does have some problems with this duct coming from up with this rotated mass here. So he will solve this, but that's again beyond benchmark 2. Beyond benchmark 2. And again, I love that he keyed it in. He keyed the zoning of each floor on the side. And that's the following floor. Again, very nicely done. This is this zone. Okay. coming from this shaft, and this is this zone. This should connect to the one down here. Okay, so there should be another split here, and this is the third zone, as you see, the third zone that ends here. So there must be sort of separation here between this duct and this duct, which should feed the one below. It's just very, very minor comments, but I love the illustration, easy to navigate, easy to follow up. This is his last floor, which has no problem. When this duct coming from here all the way till here, this is its end. That's very long one. Okay. This is much better. This is the one that I wanted to bring. Very nicely done. Wall sections annotated. Again, it's not Bibles. Okay, it's not 100% correct. This continuous insulation needs to continue, not to be interrupted by this. Even with the Kent strip, he can have like a little bit of a header down the Kent strip, and it still goes above the insulation. Is fine with like a little bit of an indentation. I'm not sure if he does. Oh, he did use 1/2-inch gypsum cover board. Again, this is the level of details that I'm looking at. And he did a roof parapet, okay, middle floor or mid floor to the skin. That's the law of the land, okay. And then he did a foundation section, which is very nicely well thought of to drain any condensation. He doesn't have like a clear drainage path behind it, but I have to look at his system that he provided the photo for in a previous slide, the one on the right. But that's a very nice wall section, annotated, very detailed, line weighted, hatched, very, very nice. I'm not going to comment on the reinforcement. That's a little bit off, but it's not a structure class here, a pure structure class. Very nice to show the flooring with these shear meshes, okay, and light enforcement. What I have said to him that 4 inches concrete topping is heavy for this kind of structure, and they do use some sort of a lightweight concrete, like the one that all of you have ceramic tiles probably in your bathrooms. This is the grout or the mortar that goes under the ceramic. It doesn't have a lot of water content, and we're exploring sort of a moisture barrier here above the wood or the CLT to prevent excessive water absorption by the wood. Otherwise, it's a wood, okay? If it gets water, it expands and change dimensions, and that's not good for wood. So again, he used you as example. He did Excel, and I wanted again to show you this, to show you his examples, so that you can excel in it's a share of knowledge, share of information, but I'm trying to bring you guys my expectations. Okay, I love to close the gap of expectations here, so you both benefits. This is his system. We haven't discussed this yet, his skin system. So to close this gap of expectations, so at the end, I myself and Mark are proud of you, and you guys are proud of what you did. So that's Ed, Carmen, and Lynn. One last thing, I'm gonna stop sharing here, is the integration. The integration. What do I mean by that? if you had done this, which I believe most of you have done it in Revit, okay, I would love that you guys look at your plenum, your reflected ceilings, and if you had built these correctly in a 3D, I mean, structure, your beams are sized right. I would expect that because simply you provided me with these nice 3D for the structure that I will never forget. Eric's with his shades, Nancy, forgive me if I forget somebody, okay? Lynn, and who else did the 3D? Forgive me again, Carmen. Yeah, Carmen did one. If I forgive me if I forget any name. So supposedly you are not fooling me here, and you did this in a 3D, so you will be able to see how these ducts, when you draw them in Revit, you have to give them an elevation. So this elevation will fall below your beams, okay? And if you have like a flat plate slab like Rasha or Lynn, I'm not sure if they changed Mark or not, I don't know. I'm just gonna be, I'm going with what they have submitted on Benchmark too. So these ducts should go under your beams. This is what we call integration. So this is why we build in Revit model, because it's part of a building information modeling software. So we can take this, do energy simulation as Dustin showed us. We can take this and do quantities, right? That goes for bidding. So the contractor can know exactly to the nearest 2%, 3% error how much quantities that he will be bidding on. If you build your model right, that's the condition here. Okay,
right. That's the assumption.
Yes, thank you, Mark. That's the assumption. I'm not gonna erase with him in vocabulary. So that's the assumption that you did your model right. So this is this kind of integration. So if you can show me, I'll show you one more thing if you allow me. Again, just another couple minutes from my BIM class. I'll show you. They haven't done it yet. This, let me just look at it first. It's not perfectly done, but let's see here what we can find. This is Steve. Okay, let me screen share here. Again, that's a different class, but I'm trying to show you what integration means here. Okay, that's a BIM class. So he did exactly structure, mechanical, and this is his mechanical floor. Let me zoom a little bit. It just makes my life hard here because I cannot flip the page easily. So this is the integration part. Okay, so he laid on his mechanical floor plan, which is again not perfect. I'm not 100% happy. This is his VAV box. These VEV boxes that control his zoning. Obviously here that's 4-zone. I don't know what the hell he did here, but anyway, I can't remember. That's from last year. So anyway, what he did here is he started to laying on his sprinkler system, as you see.
Right.
The dark one and the bluish lines are the HVAC. Okay, so this is basically how this goes against the structure. We don't have an fire suppression systems here, but we do have the mechanical and the structure. And what he did in a 3D, so he built these, and what he did here in the 3D is looking at those components and how they intersect together. Okay, so obviously he does have, let me close here. He does have a problem here. I don't know if this duct is this pipe, fire suppression pipe, is going right into his HVAC duct here, or I'm imagining. I think it's below the duct. Yeah, it's below. Okay, he wins. Okay, so, and of course this is some of his supply grills here, and he did use the flexible. I'm taking off my glasses here to see. He did plumbing as well, as you see here. That's his toilets. Sorry, I don't know how to. Oops. Oh my God, what's going on here? That's another part. So this goes against his beams. This is, let me focus here one more time. It does not, okay. This is another shot, another 3D shot. They were required to do this in BIM for building systems, which is, that's his VAV box, which is wrongly placed. But again, you get the idea, right, of the intersection between your building systems. Again, if you have done it wrong, done it right, and if you have the chance to provide a verification like this, I would love to see the integration between your system. That's his plumbing. I'll show you another example, hopefully, in here. Where's Megan? So they did the 3D, and that's her mechanical, much better. No, Steve had done it better. Okay, so she did provide some 3D for her mechanical, but of course she did provide a section here that about the how her duct is going. Again, not perfect. These are some of them are architectural engineering, by the way. Okay, so they are good in this coming, for example, this is her air handler unit, and should be a little bit up. Okay, it shouldn't be at the same level. But again, they're still students, and they're trying their best. But her distribution here is slightly better than the previous example. But Steve had done a much better job in showing the intersections, how the structure and the mechanical goes together. So that's the integration. It's not, I'm just, again, showing it to you for sharing knowledge and trying to enhance the deliverables of this class. So if you can provide something like this, if you had built this in Revit correctly, you will be able to take a shot or two of the integration between your structure and mechanical, at least, and enclosure. So that's my talk of tonight. So about the integration and expectations, more refinement of your systems. Again, some of you are coming tomorrow, at least 4 are coming tomorrow. I appreciate that. One is coming on Thursday. The following week, I can be available on Monday before the crunch week after the Thanksgiving. And I'm available as well on Fridays for people who are out of state and cannot meet me in person. So and I am ready for any question. So now everyone knows what's waiting for him or her. Okay, in terms of systems.
Ash, I sent you an email to meet with you.
Okay. Right now? Oh, I have 8 new messages. Oh my God.
Oh.
Okay, Paige. Okay. 8 new messages. This is in during this period because I had no messages before. So I've been talking to you for 20 minutes.
It's because you're broadcasting on the internet and you're going viral tonight.
Okay. I'll answer.
That never happens to me, by the way.
Tomorrow is booked. You know what? I can tuck you in. I don't know. The problem is that I have my online session tomorrow night at 7, so I can't be late coming back from school. Probably Thursday. Paige, you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Can we make it Thursday at 11:30? Thursday, 11:20 or 11:30?
Yep.
11:20 is perfect for me, or 11:30.
Okay, I'll be there at
I'm just
11:20.
trying to get everybody who needs help, so that you have no excuse. Oh, Ash, busy. No, I'm gonna try to accommodate your schedule at my best ability here. Okay. So Thursday, that's Paige. I'll write it down here before I forget.
Wait, Ash, so you're busy all day tomorrow?
Yeah, I have somebody from 1:15 to 2, somebody from 2 to 2:45. I'll take a break for 10 minutes, and some. To 4:30. See how I'm booked very quick. So
maybe I'll catch you Monday then.
okay, Monday is good. I can take you, Russia, before I go to the studio. If you and usually that's 1:15 on Monday, but you have to send me a reminder because it's just like I'm going viral, as Mark just mentioned. It's just crazy schedule, believe me.
Okay.
And I cannot say no to anybody, so
yeah,
I'll try to tuck you in and go out of my convenience zone to help anybody. Although that's discrimination against the other on-ground people, because I don't show up on time. So hopefully they will not notice it, because they are split now between 2 classes, as you know, separated by a partition to go after these big screens. So I hope the half of them will feel that I'm on the other side, and the other half will feel that Ash is here, but on the other side. So
well, Ash, technically your lab doesn't start until 4:30, so
no, I don't go this way, Russia.
I know, I'm kidding.
I start as early as 2 with them, 1:30 or 2. After I get my lunch, I head up on Monday and Thursday. So this time allocation by the university is a joke. Is completely joke. So I don't go by the time, because this will not be enough for even 1.5 student. 1 hour 20 minutes. That does we spend 1 hour just chatting on like not the whole project even. So
Okay, I'll email you about Monday then before. You
Okay.
head to- Thank you.
just remind me, like Courtney and some others, they're very good at reminding me.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? But just please come with new things, okay? Like beyond beyond what we have talked about, beyond benchmark 2 that you had. So I would expect, this was 2 weeks ago, so I would expect that you have something new for me to ask me about. So we talked last time about the same point that we're talking about today, Rasha, how your skin ties to your enclosure, to tie your structure, and I showed you how in 3 alternatives. So I would expect that you already executed this and you're coming to me with hopefully a full wall section and few details, 3D, just to take my point on how probably to lay this on the final board or on the final file or on the final page. So come to me with something new, not the same exact thing that you brought me last time. So I assume that everybody, not only you, assume that everybody is doing progress and coming up with new questions to me.
I think you're going to be delighted to see the progress.
Anybody else?
Anybody else have any questions for Ash? So Ash, you won't need to meet with us on Thursday night then, is that correct?
Well, if you guys, in this case, I can take, if I'm not gonna meet, I can meet some of them before your class, Mark.
Okay.
Just to utilize
Okay.
the time.
Okay.
So I can meet
Sure.
then if I'm not going to meet with Thursday for me, guys, is slightly tough because I'm on the other studio, so late, so I had to join from the school. So if I'm not coming on this Thursday, meet a couple of you then after the other studio starting 4:30 or 5, like what Wu did yesterday. She got a hold of me after yesterday. It was she got a hold of me after the studio. We talked for almost 40 minutes or so before her class. So I can do that on Thursday with any of you. Whoever is not successful to get a hold of me, I can tuck him or her in on a Thursday if I'm not waiting.
So I'll invite you for Thursday, and I'll actually try to start the session a little early so that you can conduct a conversation.
But
keep this session open.
Sure, Mark.
Cool.
I am usually expecting or freeing my time during starting 5:30 to 8:30. Anyway, whether I'm going to join or not, I'm usually like on a high alert that you're gonna invite me anytime.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good.
Yeah, if you have time.
I sure hope that that Dan Farrow next semester can do that too, Ash.
Listen, I have good news for you. I might end up joining you. I'm not sure yet.
Well, if you need me to sprinkle any pixie dust on that conversation, that would be my preference.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Please do whatever it takes.
Things changed a little bit. I just heard this yesterday and architecture engineering. We'll see how it goes. It depends on
I welcome that. I welcome that mostly because I'm still learning how to teach this class again, and I think we've developed kind of a rapport and a process that kind of works well for the online thing, right? And that's what we'll be doing next semester. And I don't think Dan is entirely comfortable with the online thing. And so part of what will have to happen if he's with us is that we're going to have to bring him on board with the online thing, which, you know, is a big learning curve. But then and then if, you know, as the fact is that this will be the required section, right? The spring is the required time for this class. So I anticipate an even larger class. So we need to be as nimble and as and familiar with this classes as we can, and that will happen in my mind with somebody I've already been in the trenches with, and that would be you. So I would welcome that. So if you could say that, if you can report that back to the dean or anyone else that listens to me over there, which is maybe like 1 or 2 people, that would be my opinion. That would be my pleasure.
They listen to you, Mark. You're, you know, you're a
that's because I give them money.
Oh yeah, don't tell me about this.
So, but yeah, that would be my pleasure, and really my preference for the quality of this experience and the efficiency of the studio.
I put this class as on my top priorities as a replacement or as a plan B. So I put this, the Comp Design Lab. I just sent the email today to Jim with some alternative, just in case things go south with architecture engineering. So I put it on my first priority here, the lab.
Well, if they ask my opinion, I'll say that too.
I'm really enjoying it, and I consider a very very first successful trial for running this online. Very successful, I can tell. For the first time, absolutely. I'm very happy with the results. I'm very happy with the the time, the pace of the class, and most importantly, their efforts is wonderful. Some of you guys, to be honest, really needs to push hard in this 2 or 3 weeks. It's just, you need that. You need to refine, especially your enclosure. I'm not happy, except couple probably are already there, closer to the final line in enclosure, but the rest needs to come up to speed here. So
and they're hearing that from me, and they're hearing from me that they need to be working closely with you right now on that. So they've been challenged to at least visit with you one more time, and if they haven't met with you with any depth, they need to do that post.
Exactly. In depth. We need to go in depth into these systems a little bit more. As I mentioned today, we need to just come. Okay, I'll help you. We can find something together. Bring me a tracing paper or an onion skin. Okay, because I have a role, but if you want to encourage me to talk to you, just come with a tracing paper or an onion skin, and we'll go over your floor plan. Nobody offered this. Come on.
Yeah, that's the admission, right? That's the currency for conversation. Brilliant. Okay, Ash. I actually have one more student to meet with tonight. That's Wu. So I'll let you all go if you're done, Ash. And,
I'm done.
I'll send the invite out to you, Ash, on Thursday.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Hi, Wu. How are you?
Bye.
Hi.
Good. Bye-bye, everyone. So, so are you feeling good, Wu, about the recalibration of your proposal now? Is it sinking in?
Yes.
That it was a good move?
Yeah. So I talked to Ash on Monday.
And what did he say when you came in with this new fully baked layout?
He like it because he think the 2 legs is too expensive for the HVAC. Before he talked about me. I mean before the benchmark 2.
Right.
Yeah. And
so I had a conversation with. Go ahead.
Yes, and we figure out about the structural plan. So I still need more work to do the wall section, and I will meet him tomorrow again to talk about the HVAC system. I'm still not very understanding for the HVAC system. So I mean, how the duct connect to the air handling. I mean, what's the difference for the air handling and the chill, the cooling tower? I mean, which system I should choose?
So, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hello? Are you there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, right now.
So you broke up. So first thing, definitely talk to Ash.
Yeah.
And just say, how does this work? Like, walk me through it. Like, what's on the roof? What's in the shaft? What goes out of the shaft and into the unit? Walk me through that. Draw it. Literally, give him the pen and have him draw it. That's the first thing. But before you do that with him tomorrow, right? Go back to the shared folder for our class, to the research folder, and look at the mechanical guidelines booklet for mixed-use buildings that I put in there for you.
Oh, yes.
And go through that and get to the points that talk about HVAC. All right? So be prepared for that conversation. Also, look at the work that he has uploaded on Blackboard, student work that is exemplary in his mind. So be prepared by going to those sources before you go to Ash tomorrow, okay?
Right. Yes. And so I have a couple questions for you. So about the, let me ask the assignment first. So in the assignment, there is in the floor plan, so the color code generic room types, there are stairs, elevators, corridors, residential unit, and there is a BOH. What's the BOH?
Back of house.
Yes, a back of a house is...
Back of house. Like mechanical rooms, janitor's closets, meter rooms, things that are behind the scenes, right? Also, I'm going to type it. Hold on. Here it is. BOH equals back of house.
Yes, I searched that online, but the back of house online is talk about the I mean the loading something for the retail.
Yeah, all of that kind of important but inconsequential to the explicit purpose.
Okay.
Of the space.
Okay. So I want to explain more for the egress component, because I was for the benchmark 2 I did the egress plan and the load, but I'm not sure it's right.
So you and I can go over the egress plan whenever you're ready to. But, and I know that the egress plan was part of benchmark 2. I know that. But what I offered as an option, right, was to do an egress plan for a typical residential floor, I think, as well as the ground floor, to do more egress plans and to show it as a comprehensive thing, working through, if I remember, let me read it real quick. So I said the option is prepare egress route diagrams for the lower level parking plan.
Yes.
And typical residential floor. You know, you're required to do it for the ground floor, but I'm saying do the other floors as well.
Okay.
And make sure that in item D on page 3, D as in David, egress and life safety, go through and make sure you have all of those bullet points, right? Provide a minimum of 2 exits. All street level spaces must. All doors must. Indicate occupant load calcs, right? Make sure that your drawings have that stuff at a minimum.
Yes. So
the option, though, is to do more.
Right. So for the occupants, you require 50. But I mean, I searched the R2 for the residential apartment, that type. The required occupant is 10.
10 per unit or 10 what?
It just says 10, I guess.
And did you talk to Joshua and Eric?
No, I didn't talk to them.
Ask them how to compute the occupant load for a residential unit.
Okay.
What does it say in the building code for R2?
R2, maybe I can screen share with you about the document I searched.
Okay.
So
let me ask you to screen share a different thing.
Okay.
Can you do that, please?
Oh, here is it.
Can you screen?
Oh, but,
Can you screen share the drawing sheet that I shared with you?
What sheet? My.
Sure.
Okay.
Comp Design Studio.
Yes.
Module 1 research. I think under building codes.
Okay. I have this over here.
No, maybe not.
Here.
I gave you.
Which part?
I gave you the code study for our building.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's called Brush Park Mark Farlow, and go to code analysis. It's one drawing.
No, not this. Okay, maybe it's in another folder.
It's in Brush Park.
Yes.
Code analysis.
Right.
There it is. And go down to total occupant load and occupant load per story, table 1. So in my building for this particular site, this sheet, by the way, Wu, is a sheet from our job for this project, right?
Right.
So this occupant load, basement, first floor, second floor, and so on, it's giving you an occupant load of about 64 occupants per floor, right? And on the top floor, we have a community space, an amenity space, which has an additional like 50 or 49.
Okay.
That's why it has like 103. But here's the point. If we had 64 occupants per floor and we divided it by, say, 15 units per floor, we're probably around, I don't remember how many units per floor we have, but it looks like there's only about 3 occupants per floor, maybe per unit.
Oh. Okay.
64, right? Divided by 64 divided by 16. Yeah, looks like we have 16 units per floor. So it looks like there's an occupant load calculation that anticipates that there is about 4 occupants per apartment.
Oh, okay.
Right? So there's got to be language in your research sheets that you were about to upload tonight that stipulate that. But it's based on the R2, and it's based on that code section, table 1004.1.2. So
Okay.
I would go back to that to double check.
Yeah, sure.
But
Sure.
but woo, 4 occupants per unit, right? Distributed over 2 stairways. That's 32 occupants per stairway, right? That's really, really low. So this is a really easy drawing to do.
Yeah. Right.
Did you look at Eric's or Josh's or Lynn's occupant load, sheet?
Yeah, so I'm in Joshua's file right now.
Those egress life plans that he did were really good. So were Lynn's. Near the end. Keep going.
Oh, here. Occupant load 49.
Yeah. That's the occupant load for the amenity space. Remember, that was part of the original program, because if you keep it at 49, you only need 1 exit,
Oh, okay.
right?
Right.
That's why I did it that way, to make it easier for you. You're welcome, by the way.
Right. Right. The building code is very
But look at his occupant load sheet. Look at his egress and life safety sheet. Keep scrolling. Scroll down.
scroll down.
There it is. Yeah, that's it right there. Nope. Where you were?
It's 12.
I have to go. It's a floor plan.
Floor plan, I guess, is
These. No, you just had it. You have to scroll back down. Keep going.
That's the enclosure.
Did you freeze there?
Really?
Can you keep scrolling down?
which page you're in? I mean,
I don't know. You need to keep scrolling down. I don't know which page it is. I'm not looking
I
at it.
think it's the internet is very slow. Yeah, I already passed it, but
Oh.
yeah.
So like these drawings are showing that stuff.
Yes. Like here.
You see how he did it? See, he's got the occupant load calculation where your cursor is.
Yeah.
So figure out how he computed that. Just ask him.
Yes, sure.
It's real easy.
So maybe I can show you my plan here. I mean the egress design for the smoke enclosure.
Well, the internet is terrible tonight.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, so I'm sharing with you the egress design for the smoke-proof enclosures.
Yes.
And the long square. So on your right hand is the shaft for the mechanical. And in the middle is for the wheel refuge.
Trash.
No, it's for the refuge. For the people.
Area of refuge. I see.
Refuge. Yes.
Yeah. I would not put a door on the area of refuge. I would just make it kind of a parking space.
Oh, okay.
I would just make it an opening in that wall, not a door.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it only needs to be as big as one wheelchair.
Sure. But it has to be next to the window, right?
Okay. Is there a window there? Because it doesn't look like there is.
I haven't put it yet.
Okay.
So does the exit stair have a window too? I mean,
okay.
Can I put a window on the exit stairway?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If it's an outside wall.
Yes, it's outside wall.
If it's an outside wall.
Yeah.
You're more limited when it's not when it's an interior wall. You can do it with an interior wall, but you're more limited in size and in the product of the glass than the frame.
Right.
In other words, it would need to be fiberglass.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. So
what else?
I mean, oh, here. So I have the extra space for the residential plan here, and I put the game room here because I don't want here become a dead end corner.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
yeah, call it an amenity space.
Amenity space.
Amenity.
Can you spell it?
Yeah, I'll type it for you.
Okay.
Where is my mouse? There it is.
Oh, okay. So I think I'm.
Can you go back to the floor plan a second? I wanted to look at that one end unit.
Yes. 1 unit. Out there?
Can you zoom out? Can you zoom out?
Oh, okay.
The one on the far left.
Here?
That dead end corridor there. How far is it from the stairway door? So what are you doing at the end of that corridor?
Yeah.
What is that for?
Right now, nothing, I guess.
Yeah. So Lou, when you're designing these buildings, and look, I appreciate that you made this change.
Yes.
And I appreciate that you put it together very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have had this conversation, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So impatient, right? So forgive me, but like in buildings like this, a developer would see, if you showed your client, a developer, this floor plan, they would say, what am I going to do with this space? I can't make any money off of it. And so you have to be able to say, right, I understand. That's important to you. So how can I make that revenue generating space? And he'll say, give it to the bedroom. Give it to the unit, right? So that 2-bedroom unit could be like a really kick-ass unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it went not only on the north wall, it would go on the south wall.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So suddenly that unit is like a major killer unit, and you lose the dead end, and he's making money off of that hallway. Case closed, right?
Right.
Architecture is easy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I would make that change.
Yes.
Do you have that anywhere else on the floor plan?
The
What about at the other end?
other end is a stair.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's good. I would make that change.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but my point is, I just noticed something else. My point is that when you're doing these mixed use buildings, I want you to like see that when you're doing your next project, okay?
Sorry, you just break up.
I want you to see that as an opportunity on your next project, your next studio or your next job.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now there's a column line in the middle of the hallway. What in the world's going on?
So the hallway have eight hinge. So before I have the dash line, do you remember that wall in the middle for in the hallway and produce the more privacy? I mean, had the door.
Yeah, I remember. I remember.
And I.
But you're not doing that right now.
Yes. Right.
So, but there's a column right in the middle of the hallway.
Yes.
You can't really do that. Bias that column one way or the other.
Okay. Yeah.
It's impossible, right?
Right.
Now, what I just said is really important, but it's also going to create a headache for you as it translates to retail and to parking. Okay?
Yes.
So I'm afraid to ask if it's going to have a big impact down below.
Yeah, but maybe for the basement is not very much.
Okay. Well, I'm praying. I'm praying.
Yeah. So.
So what column line is that?
This line.
Can you let me see the column bubble?
Sure. Column B here.
Can you zoom out?
Yeah. It's okay because I already saved the space between the columns.
You froze up and I missed all of that.
Oh,
So
okay.
can you zoom out so I can see which column line it is?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, can you zoom in on the column bubble? Is it A?
B.
No, go to the top. I need to see B.
E.
Can you go back to the floor plan?
Yes.
So B needs to move to the east.
Yes. Sure.
Maybe 3 feet, so that the column is more or less like a pilaster on the corridor wall.
Yeah.
Capiche? Okay, let's go back to the basement. When you do that, this move is really going to help you for the parking spaces, but you may need to recenter or respace some of them. Okay?
Yes.
Also on that parking plan, those doors into the storage realm, they need to swing into the storage.
You there? Sorry.
The doors into the locker room down there need to swing into the locker room because you won't be able to open them if a car is parked there.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, I guess. For now.
What other options are you going to do?
What options you mean?
In the program brief, I offered up several options. Which options are you going to do?
Yes, I want to do the earlier that so we have the lecture that night. Yes, the inside.
Which one?
Inside.
Which one?
Sorry, I can't. The
energy modeling.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's a good one, and that's a high value proposition, right? That's a complex option. It'll take a little bit of work, but it will pay a lot of benefit to you.
Yes. Right.
Can you close your drawing?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that was a good choice.
Yes. So for this week, I'm going to focus on the structure and the HVAC system, because I think if I finish the HVAC system, I can move on for the energy modeling. Yeah. So a lot of stuff, a lot of work, but
you know what? You are going to benefit from making design change.
Right.
You're going to benefit from this design change.
Right. Yeah.
Good. Anything else?
That's all. Yeah.
Okay, good. You have a great night, and let me know if you need any help, okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.